viral threat, a campus in darkness, $3.8 million in narcotics flowing through a congresswoman's district. What started as a social media post ended with federal agents storming an underground drug lab hidden beneath Minnesota's streets. This is the story of how one threat exposed a network no one knew existed. 4:19 a.m., Minneapolis, Minnesota. The city slept, but the threat didn't. For months, federal analysts had been tracking unusual patterns. Cash movements, late-night deliveries, encrypted messages mentioning heroin and fentanyl, all traced back to locations tied to Congresswoman Ilhan Omar's district. Then came the video that changed everything. If you believe investigations like this should never be ignored, hit like now. What you're about to see will expose the truth they tried to hide. His name was Hassan Mohammed, Somali student, American citizen. And on a December evening, he filmed himself making a threat that would trigger the largest federal operation in Minnesota history. The video was deliberate, calm, unsettling. He stared directly into the camera and declared that if ICE agents came into his neighborhood, he would track them down and shoot them. Not anger, not emotion. Rehearsed intention. I actually heard you guys pull up to the Big O. You pulled up when I was not there. So you're going to get popped next time I see your ass. Bring the whole cavalry. Within hours, the video spread. TikTok, X, private channels, until it reached federal monitoring units at a time when threats against immigration officers had surged over 8,000%, including messages targeting agents' homes and families. Nothing was dismissed as online rage. Every word was reviewed as operational intent. His later apology changed nothing. The threat had crossed a line, and it accelerated an operation already months in the making. Comment alert. If you think threats like this must always be taken seriously, the federal response came fast. Once command approved the operation, the response moved with precision. ICE, DEA, local police, over 30 agents assigned to locations already under investigation. Hassan Mohammed's threat didn't create the risk. It simply forced federal hands to move faster than planned. Before sunrise, a convoy of black SUVs rolled quietly into the university district. 6 entry teams, moving in silence, doors knocked once, then breached, flashlights cutting through narrow hallways. Rooms cleared in seconds, students watched from windows as agents entered dorms and rental units that had been monitored for months. Inside one apartment, agents recovered 9 phones and multiple altered IDs. Another concealed $74,000 behind a ventilation panel. A third revealed something far more disturbing. A coded contact list linked directly to federal narcotics suspects. By sunrise, 14 individuals were detained. The network hidden beneath the campus was no longer invisible. Type expose. If you're starting to see how deep this goes, the evidence told a darker story. When investigators began analyzing seized devices, a different truth emerged, one far more serious than immigration violations. The data revealed a systematic narcotics operation running quietly behind campus walls. Messages, audio notes, transaction logs, all pointing to repeated deliveries of heroin, fentanyl, synthetic chemicals, coded under innocent labels, books, supplies, midnight drops. One folder contained a spreadsheet documenting 58 recorded shipments, each marked with weight symbols investigators recognized as drug quantities. Another phone held photos of vacuum-sealed packages, the kind used for long-distance narcotics transport. Several notes mentioned the quarry, a location appearing on 3 separate devices, always tied to late-night activity. GPS data confirmed it. Multiple suspects had traveled repeatedly to an abandoned industrial zone, known as the Quarry Base, a place long rumored to be used by smugglers. Every thread led back to one name, Abdul Rahman Khalif Noure, age 42. Prior links to interstate drug routes, financial records showing deposits totaling over $410,000 in 6 months, far beyond any legitimate income. His messages coordinated pickup times, quantities, runners responsible for moving drugs in small batches to avoid detection. Files revealed rotating safe houses, burner phones, detailed distribution maps across Minnesota and 2 neighboring states. The suspects on campus weren't simply hiding. They were part of a structured operation, using the university as protective cover. By the time agents finished reviewing evidence, one fact became undeniable. This was a drug network with leadership, logistics, and reach, and it was still fully operational. If you're still watching, comment continue. So this investigation reaches more people. The Quarry Base had been waiting. Every phone seized, every GPS log, every coded message, all pointed to the same location, a forgotten industrial zone outside Minneapolis, surrounded by broken concrete, rusted fences, silence that felt wrong. To most people, just an abandoned warehouse. To investigators, the heart of the network. Just after 4 a.m., the operation began. Unmarked SUVs moved slowly down the access road. Headlights dimmed, radios silent, except for whispered codes. 42 federal agents, ICE, DEA, tactical units, positioned around the perimeter, faces calm, grips tight. Intelligence suggested weapons inside, cartel-level connections. No one knew how the night would end. At 4:27 a.m., a small drone lifted into the air, scanning the warehouse roof, side entrances. Heat signatures appeared. At least 7 people inside, one figure standing in the central room, barely moving. The shape matched Abdul Rahman Khalif Noure. Entry teams ready? A voice muttered through the radio. The breach began with a controlled detonation. The metal side door shook, fell outward in a burst of dust. Flashlights sliced through darkness. Team 1 swept the left wing, stacked crates, torn tarps, the sour chemical smell of narcotics processing. Team 2 pushed toward the central hall, moving steadily under heavy shields. Then came the first confrontation. 2 suspects burst from behind pallets, attempting to flee through a side exit. Agents shouted commands, "Stop, federal agents," but the men didn't comply. One reached into his jacket. In seconds, agents fired 2 beanbag rounds. Both suspects knocked to the floor, handcuffed, pulled aside as the operation pushed forward. Inside the warehouse core, something more alarming appeared. Metal containers filled with heroin, fentanyl precursors, equipment capable of preparing hundreds of doses per hour. This wasn't storage. This was production. The final room was sealed with a reinforced lock. Nearly a minute to break through. When the door swung open, agents found Khalif Noure sitting at a metal table, phone in hand. 3 more lined up beside him. No chaos, no resistance. He simply lifted his head, as if he'd been expecting them. Around him, $260,000 in cash, rubber banded into bricks, 15 handguns, and 3 rifles in open cases. Ledgers detailing shipments across 3 states. A mapped distribution route traced with red marker. For a moment, the room stood still. The storm was over. Noure was handcuffed without a word. His network had collapsed in a single night. What began with a viral threat had exposed a narcotics base operating in Minnesota's shadows, and the man who quietly ran it was finally in federal custody. If you support agents risking their lives to dismantle networks like this, hit like and share this forward. The digital evidence revealed everything. When lights inside the quarry base were finally switched on, agents realized the raid had only ended half the story. The second half, hidden in laptops, burner phones, boxes of records, was even more disturbing. What investigators discovered over the next 72 hours transformed the case from local narcotics operation into multi-state criminal enterprise with international ties. Every device rushed to a temporary command center, forensic analysts working around the clock. The first major discovery came from a cracked Samsung phone recovered near the loading dock. Inside, a long thread of encrypted messages between Khalif Noure and a contact, saved only as the broker. Texts detailed shipments of heroin and fentanyl precursors. Encoded weights, stones, pages, bars. When decoded, those terms represented multi-kilo quantities, enough to endanger thousands. Another breakthrough emerged from a laptop hidden under a false panel in Noure's office. Financial ledgers spanning 4 years, documenting more than $3.8 million in cash movement through informal channels. Wire transfers sent in small amounts to avoid detection. Funds moved through Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, then disappeared into offshore digital wallets. Not amateurs. A structured network designed to survive long-term? Then came the most chilling document, a digital map showing 36 distribution points across 3 states, each point marked with dates, initials, quantities. Some initials matched individuals arrested on campus. Others matched suspects who had fled weeks earlier. The map proved what agents feared. The quarry base wasn't standalone. It was the central hub feeding street dealers, mid-level distributors, even college-aged couriers. Handwritten notebooks added another layer. One ledger listed over 120 runners. Individuals paid small amounts to move drugs, money, messages. Some names had asterisks. Analysts confirmed those were runners with access to additional safe houses. Even more alarming, a folder labeled transit, printed manifests from shipping companies, packages routed through Chicago and Indianapolis, disguised as medical supplies. Several packages had already been intercepted in other states. At the time, seizures seemed unrelated. Now investigators understood, all part of the same network. A final device, a small tablet found in Noure's locked desk, revealed a list of planned shipments. One scheduled for the following week involved chemicals sourced from overseas suppliers known to DEA intelligence. The shipment was large enough to trigger immediate federal alert. By the end of the review, agents agreed on one conclusion: the network was far bigger than anyone imagined. It survived by operating in silence, hiding behind everyday environments, campuses, rental homes, abandoned warehouses, moving drugs across state lines with precision. The raid captured its central figure, but the files proved the investigation was far from over. Comment exposed. If this network scale shocks you, the political battle began immediately. While investigators unraveled the narcotics network, another battle unfolded. Far from the quarry base, in the public arena, where politics and law enforcement collided head-on. The arrest of Khalif Noure and campus sweep had drawn attention, but everything intensified when Congresswoman Ilhan Omar stepped forward with a claim that immediately shifted national conversation. In an interview, Omar alleged her son had been stopped by ICE agents. Questioned, asked to show identification, she stated he felt targeted, that ICE had been stalking him in multiple locations for weeks. She described agents entering a mosque while he prayed, appearing at a restaurant, approaching him in a parking lot. Her tone was calm, but the accusations were serious: racial profiling, intimidation, misconduct. Within hours, ICE fired back. Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons delivered a firm, unusually blunt rebuttal. He stated ICE had absolutely zero record of any stop, detention, or interaction involving Omar's son. No report, no notes, no internal logs. He accused Omar of fabricating the incident to inflame tensions when agents faced unprecedented threats, rare for a federal agency to directly contradict a member of Congress. But the agency insisted truth required clarity. The political divide widened quickly. Supporters of Omar argued enforcement was heavy-handed, placed innocent people at risk, students traumatized, families frightened, communities unfairly targeted. They emphasized most Somali immigrants in Minnesota are legal residents or natural-born citizens. Opponents pointed to facts uncovered during investigation: a narcotics base in Minnesota, 36 distribution points across multiple states, over 120 runners documented, connections to overseas suppliers, campus housing used as shield. To them, ICE wasn't acting recklessly. They were responding to a threat with national security implications. The clash escalated when media outlets picked up the contradiction between Omar's claims and ICE's denial. Some questioned Omar's timing. Why speak out now? At the exact moment, agents began dismantling a narcotics operation partially connected to individuals moving through her district. Others pointed to previous controversies, arguing there was a larger pattern of political defensiveness whenever immigration enforcement tightened. Behind closed doors, investigators continued their work. They knew every public accusation, every press statement, every political argument risked overshadowing facts contained in seized devices. Those files showed real criminal activity: shipments, weapons, cash, communication routes, not manufactured narratives. Yet the political noise had consequences. Community groups organized protests. University leaders demanded explanations. Federal agents found themselves navigating not only a criminal network, but also a growing wave of public misunderstanding. For investigators, the priority remained unchanged: follow the evidence, secure the community, stay focused on the network built. But the political clash surrounding the operation had become impossible to ignore. It was now part of the story, one that threatened to shape public perception more powerfully than the facts themselves. Type truth matters. If you believe, facts should outweigh politics. The network was bigger than anyone thought. In days following Khalif's arrest, federal agents expected the operation to slow down. Instead, it accelerated. Every new device unlocked, every ledger translated, every financial trail followed, opened yet another door. What became clear was this: the quarry base was not the beginning. It was only the center point of a web expanding quietly for years. Working from a temporary command hub in Minneapolis, analysts cross-referenced seized data with federal databases. The results were staggering. Names in Nour's ledgers matched individuals in ongoing DEA investigations in Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan. Phone numbers traced to safe houses already under surveillance in 2 different states. The network didn't simply operate across borders. It thrived in the cracks between jurisdictions. Agents discovered financial links connecting Nour to 4 shell businesses, all registered under different identities, sharing the same digital fingerprints. These companies moved small sums: $3,000 here, $7,500 there, just enough to pass unnoticed. Over 4 years, the combined flow reached over $3.8 million. Confirming the narcotics trade around Quarry Base was not a side operation, but a full-scale business model. The deeper the investigation went, the more disturbing the structure became. A tablet recovered from Noor's office listed 12 secondary coordinators responsible for distributing narcotics to mid-level dealers. 3 of those coordinators vanished after the raid. Their phones shut off within minutes of Noor's arrest. Another name on the list belonged to a man who traveled in and out of the country 17 times in 2 years, raising new questions about international sourcing. Agents also realized how deeply the network infiltrated everyday settings. At least 9 runners held jobs inside community centers, grocery stores, campus facilities, blending into places where no one would suspect criminal activity. Records showed drugs handed off in parking lots, laundromats, even outside small local churches. The simplicity of methods made them difficult to detect. For investigators, that was the most unsettling discovery of all. But the biggest revelation came from voice messages stored on Noor's tablet. In them, a voice believed to be the broker outlined plans to expand distribution routes into 2 new states, not just continuation, an expansion strategy, as if the network expected to operate for years without interruption. The messages ended with a chilling statement: keep the campus clean, they won't look there. For investigators, the meaning was unmistakable. The university was never a hiding place by accident. It was deliberately used as cover, a safe corridor where couriers could move freely under the shield of academic life and political sensitivity. By the 7th day of analysis, task force leaders agreed on one sobering truth. The network, although damaged, was not dead. Pieces were still moving, quietly, carefully, waiting to see how far the investigation would push next. And as agents prepared the next round of warrants, one question hung in the air, heavier than any evidence recovered so far. If a network this large could hide in plain sight inside a community trusted to be safe, how many more are out there? Comment continue if you want to see more investigations like this exposed. The lesson matters most. In the end, this story was never only about a warehouse, a campus, or a single arrest. It was about something larger, the way a network can exist in silence, woven into familiar streets, ordinary buildings, places people walk past every day without a second thought. It reminds us that danger doesn't always appear loudly. Sometimes it moves quietly through late-night messages, unmarked routes, people who blend into the background until evidence forces truth into view. The investigation around the quarry base revealed more than narcotics, cash ledgers, devices. It showed how organized crime adapts, how it learns from institutions, studies human trust, operates inside blind spots no one thinks to question, and it reinforced why operations like this matter. Not to target communities, but to protect the innocent people living within them, the families, students, workers who never saw what was happening beneath the surface. There's a lesson here about vigilance, about awareness, accountability, the responsibility to ask harder questions, even in places that appear safe or respected. Behind every locked device, every financial trail, every quiet apartment under surveillance, there are stories we rarely witness, stories that shape neighborhoods, cities, lives in ways we seldom realize until it's too late. If you're still here at this point in the story, it means you care about investigations like this, about truth, security, the unseen work carried out by those who track what others try to hide. I want to hear your thoughts. Which part of this case stayed with you the most? Do you believe operations like this should continue even when they create controversy? Tell me in the comments below. Your voice matters. Your engagement helps this story reach others who need to understand what lies beneath the surface. If you support deeper investigations, hit like. Share this video. Let more people see the truth behind the silence. And if you want me to keep following cases like this, type continue in the comments. Because one operation may have ended here, but the investigation is far from over.